Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that you're—
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
It's the most emotional experience that a person can go through to know that what they're working on is something that has reached a generation of people.
Excuse me, your curtain. Please allow me to help. Help from you? I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters. Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse. And just like that, Rachel Zegler found herself center stage in yet another media firestorm. But this time, oh boy, she didn't see this one coming. Because The Simpsons just roasted her in front of millions.
It got destroyed at the box office. Here's the box office numbers. The Minecraft movie made $60 million on Saturday. Snow White made $2 million.
And not gently. In their newest episode, they mocked Snow White, rebranded her as SnowWoke, and portrayed Rachel as a self-obsessed activist princess who bans princes, cancels tradition, and lectures villagers about equity. You can't make this up. What's worse, insiders say Rachel is furious. Not annoyed, not frustrated, furious. She allegedly demanded that Comedy Central pull the episode. She called it defamatory, sexist, a dangerously humiliating misrepresentation. But if you think that stopped the internet from laughing, before we proceed, smash that like button if you're done with Hollywood rewrites. Did you just subscribe? Awesome. Let's get into it. So here's what went down. The Simpsons released an episode called SnowWoke, the Reimagining, a brutal parody of Disney's live-action Snow White, with Rachel Z as a smug, insufferable princess who bans true love, rewrites history, and literally melts down when the movie flops. It was sharp, it was savage, and let's be honest, it was accurate. Because what The Simpsons captured was something fans had been saying for months. Rachel Zegler took the role of a beloved childhood icon and turned it into a preachy, politicized mess. Let's rewind. Rachel's casting as Snow White was supposed to be the biggest moment of her career. A dream role, a global reintroduction. She'd already starred in West Side Story. Spielberg called her a once-in-a-generation talent. She was poised to become Disney royalty. Then she started giving interviews.
And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Okay, Rachel didn't just promote the movie. She attacked the original. She called the 1937 classic creepy, irrelevant, and said her Snow White wouldn't be saved by a man because now she's a leader.
Well, we all basically knew that Snow White was going to be a massive failure at the box office because of Rachel Zegler's controversial statement.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Fine, that's her spin, but calling the original story problematic while Disney pays you millions to represent it? Bad move. Next came the dwarf disaster. Instead of the iconic 7 dwarfs, Disney replaced them with magical creatures after backlash from Peter Dinklage. But even he said, this isn't what he asked for. Only one of them is actually a little person. The rest, random CGI misfits from a bad fantasy film. Fans lost it. They accused Disney and Rachel of erasing iconic characters, silencing dwarf actors, and sanitizing the story into oblivion. As Snow White hit theaters, something surreal happened. Rachel began posting selfies in completely empty movie showings. Not once, multiple times.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope, it's off the woke we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
No crowd, no fans, just her alone. It was supposed to be ironic, maybe funny. Instead, it looked like denial. And if that wasn't bad enough, While Rachel sat in empty seats, another movie was breaking records. Minecraft, a blocky video game adaptation with 0 princesses, no equity speeches, and Jack Black as the lead voice. It crushed Snow White in a single weekend, $60 million on Saturday alone. Meanwhile, Snow White hadn't even cracked that globally after 3 weeks. It was over. And then came The Simpsons. So what did The Simpsons actually say? They called her character Rachel Z. She bans kissing, cancels romance, rewrites every tradition in the book, and then blames the patriarchy when her movie flops. Insiders say Rachel didn't just dislike the episode, she demanded that Disney step in, but Disney, silent. Why? Because the satire was too accurate. Fans had already made their minds up, and the internet wasn't about to let this go. Now here's where things get even messier. After promoting Snow White with a peppy tweet, Rachel followed up minutes later with, "Never forget Free Palestine." And here's the issue. Her co-star? Gal Gadot, Israeli, Jewish. Executives panicked. Rumors say they begged Rachel to delete the tweet, not because of her opinion, but the timing, the optics, the audience rage. She refused. And just like that, Gal vanished from Snow White promo events. Backstage tension off the charts. Public fallout immediate. Rachel's political activism officially a liability. With controversy after controversy, Disney did the only thing they could. They shut it down. Rachel's interviews were canceled. Media appearances halted. Social media team silent. She disappeared. No tweets, no Insta stories, nothing. And Snow White bombed. Critics slammed it as tonally confused, emotionally empty, and a feminist monologue in a princess dress. Then came the memes. TikToks calling her Princess Self-Righteous. Reddit threads titled Snow Why. YouTube reaction channels roasting her for 20-minute blocks. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, a fake OnlyFans account using AI-generated Rachel images went viral, and people believed it. Because her reputation had dropped that far, studios began cutting ties. Casting directors took her name off shortlists. Even projects she'd already signed for put on pause. Rachel had gone from Disney's Golden Girl to industry risk, all in under a year. How Jack Black's Minecraft success became the final nail. The cultural backlash Disney didn't expect. Why some insiders say this is the end of Disney's remake empire. Now let's talk about the man of the moment, Jack Black. The voice of Kung Fu Panda, the star of Minecraft, a legend who's loved by kids, teens, boomers, you name it. Well, rumor has it, he confronted Rachel Zegler directly. According to insiders, during a press event, Jack allegedly asked her point blank, "Do you think calling fans trolls is helping?" Oof! Some say she laughed it off. Others claim she walked out. A few insiders even whispered she broke down in front of Disney execs. Either way, something shifted. Because after that moment, Rachel vanished, and Disney clammed up. Meanwhile, test screenings of Snow White were brutal. Audiences said the tone was inconsistent, emotional beats felt hollow, and most said it felt less like a fairy tale and more like a lecture in empowerment wrapped in CGI. Disney reportedly spent $300 million on the film, including marketing, but projections now suggest they'll lose $200 million, maybe more. Critics compared it to corporate checklists. Empowered female lead? Check. Ditch the prince? Check. Magical diversity squad? Check. Delete all charm and joy? Double check. And audiences were done being patient. Here's what fans are really saying. It's not that they hate progress, it's that they hate being talked down to. When the message becomes louder than the magic, people walk out. Rachel's constant framing of the film as not a love story made fans feel like they were being scolded for liking the original. Okay, but can't she dream of both? As all of this imploded, Rachel's public image kept free-falling. Even fake stories began spreading like wildfire. Why? Because the truth was already wild enough. Someone created an AI parody scene where she gets booed off a stage and people believed it was real. That's how far she fell. The combination of arrogance, condescension, and tone-deaf messaging made her a perfect storm of mockery. Hollywood's Golden Girl had officially become a meme, and so The Simpsons pounced. Because when you're a walking headline, satire comes knocking. In SnowWoke, the Reimagining, Rachel Z bans kissing, cancels princes, and screams about justice while watching her film bomb. The moment she screams on live TV, "All shall love me," and despair, viewers erupted. It wasn't just a parody, it was cultural revenge. Disney used to be untouchable. They made The Lion King, Aladdin, Frozen. They shaped generations. But now, audiences are questioning everything. How do you go from Let It Go to Let's cancel Prince Charming? From Someday My Prince Will Come to He's a Creep Who Needs to Go Away? Disney's trying to reinvent magic and failing. And Snow White? It's the face of that failure. And just in case we forgot, let's revisit the Free Palestine tweet. That single post created a seismic PR disaster. Why? Because the timing was intentional, the optics were controversial, and Gal Gadot, her co-star, is Jewish. The result? Gal distanced herself. Interviews went cold. Disney's internal PR went into meltdown, and yet Rachel refused to back down.
The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
People are like, oh wow, Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch, and disliked person in her industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
Which again, her right. But her timing, career ending. But perhaps the most tragic moment? A theater employee filmed Rachel arriving at a near-empty showing of Snow White with her friends, trying to hype up the moment. They even cheered when her name appeared on screen. The theater looked like a ghost town. The cheer felt forced. Even the popcorn bucket looked embarrassed. It was the birthday party no one came to. And that image defined the film's legacy. Look, let's not pretend all the hate is okay. No one deserves death threats, and the internet can get vicious fast. But here's the problem Rachel faced. She refused to listen. Every time she got called out, she doubled down, called critics trolls, dismissed concerns as right-wing hate, pretended the backlash didn't exist.
Well, we all basically knew that Snow White was going to be a massive failure at the box office because of Rachel Zegler's controversial statement.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So when the Simpsons mocked her, people weren't shocked. They were satisfied. Inside Disney, utter panic. Executives held emergency meetings to decide what to do. Pull promotion? Delay streaming release? Recast for future sequels? According to one insider, this was supposed to be a cultural reset. Instead, it's a dumpster fire. Yikes. Marketing budgets were slashed. Plans for a Snow White sequel put on ice. And Bob Iger, furious. Let's rewind to Minecraft for a sec. That movie had no agenda, no TED Talk moments, just fun. Silly characters, a simple story. And most importantly, Jack Black. He embraced the joy, the weirdness, the childlike wonder. And audiences responded. Because what do people want from a movie? Magic, escape, laughter, not lectures. And Minecraft gave them exactly that. While Snow White tried to teach, Minecraft tried to entertain. Guess which one won? Next. Rachel's disappearance from public life. Her rumored emotional crisis after The Simpsons aired. The broader question, has Disney lost its way? After The Simpsons episode aired, Rachel did what many expected. She went dark.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
Hold on.
All right.
No social media, no red carpets, no apology, no clarification. Her fans were confused, her critics were rejoicing, and Disney? They were watching closely. Rumors swirled that Rachel was in therapy, pushed there by the intense backlash, the industry pressure, and that rumored confrontation with Jack Black.
Rachel Zegler just keeps making things worse with the Walt Disney Company. The more that she tries to defend this movie, the more that she tries to spew her agenda onto the general public, it's only making matters worse. Not just for Bob Iger, but for whatever is left of the image of Disney as a whole.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off.
Whether that's true or just another internet myth, the timing says a lot. Because her sudden disappearance, it wasn't a break. It looked like a collapse. Behind closed doors, things got even colder. Talent agents started pushing new faces forward. Casting directors, let's go another direction. Streaming execs, maybe not right now. Rachel wasn't just out of favor, she was radioactive. Even former supporters in the press stopped writing glowing op-eds. The same critics who once praised her as bold now asked if she was overexposed.
The dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards. And then, of course, Disney instantly buckled and said, okay, we're going to add magical creatures.
Then they got even crazier and they decided that the dwarves in Snow White weren't woke enough, okay?
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people.
Okay.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's for dwarfs, you know?
And that's the thing about Hollywood. One moment, you're the chosen one. The next, you're a liability. Snow White wasn't just another flop. It was supposed to be the movie.
I just want to tell you guys about incredible movie that just came out, Snow White. Wow. I just got to tell you, best movie I've seen in years. And there have been some really, really good films lately. Madam Web, Rebel Moon Part 1, that movie, that transgender one with the Mexican drug lord. But Snow White blows them all away. Chat, this movie has everything. Horrifying CGI, little people, check. A feminist princess who don't need no man, double check. Diddy dance party at the end, double Diddy check. All this to say, go see Snow White right now. The new one. Not that old stupid one where the princess gets saved by some good upstanding guy.
The next great Disney remake, the revival of the studio's golden age. Instead, it exposed just how fragile Disney's formula had become. Cast a rising star, modernize the script, sprinkle in buzzwords, print the money, except this time, the audience didn't bite. Why? Because they saw through it. The heart was gone. You can't fake magic. At the end of the day, here's what viewers want. A love story that feels timeless. Characters they can root for. Conflict that feels human. And resolution that feels earned. What they don't want. Being told they're problematic for loving a prince. Watching dwarves get erased for optics. Or seeing a beloved classic turned into an empowerment seminar. Fairy tales are supposed to feel magical, not managerial. And Snow White became a meeting. The fallout from Snow White has industry-wide implications. Executives are realizing that audiences aren't asking for feminist overhauls. They're asking for meaningful stories, and they don't want legacy IP used to fight culture wars. If the Simpsons episode taught us anything, it's this. Satire succeeds where sincerity fails. Because while Disney was preaching, the Simpsons were listening. They distilled the entire fiasco into 22 minutes of animation and somehow captured the cultural mood better than a billion-dollar studio could. Now here's the big question. What happens next? Do they cancel the sequel? Recast Snow White? Start fresh with new directors? Or do they double down and pretend this was all just online noise? Some insiders say this was a wake-up call. Others think Disney will quietly sweep it under the rug. But one thing's clear. This moment, this fiasco, will be studied in boardrooms for years. Now, let's be real. Hollywood loves a comeback. Rachel could reinvent herself, apologize, disappear for a while, return with a humbler tone, a different project, and a better PR team. It's happened before. Think Robert Downey Jr., think Lindsay Lohan, think Brendan Fraser. If Rachel plays it right, there is a second act. But it won't come easy. Because right now, she's not just dealing with bad press. She's dealing with a full-on public image crisis. The public has spoken, loud and clear. They want authenticity, emotion, characters who feel real, magic that doesn't come with a moral checklist. They're tired of being sold new and improved when all they really wanted was familiar and heartfelt. They're not asking for less diversity. They're asking for less condescension. In a year where Minecraft outperformed Snow White, we learned something. Sometimes the simplest stories win. One film tried to change everything. The other just wanted to have fun. Guess which one kids will rewatch? Guess which one parents will remember fondly? Guess which one made people laugh? And which one made people cringe? The Simpsons didn't create the backlash. They just held up a mirror. And in that mirror, we saw the result of ignoring fans, miscasting icons, replacing wonder with lectures, and confusing progress with performance. Their satire worked because it was earned. Because Rachel's story had become so surreal, parody was the only format that made sense. So here we are. Rachel Zegler, the star of a billion-dollar brand, mocked on primetime, ghosted by her studio, and possibly sitting in therapy after being crushed by a yellow cartoon family from Springfield. Let that sink in. This was supposed to be a modern feminist icon. Instead, she became a cautionary tale, the story of what happens when image replaces inspiration, when ego outshines empathy, and when fairy tales are stripped of their joy. So now I ask you, will Rachel bounce back? Will Disney learn? Or was Snow White the final straw for the remake era? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading them all. And before you go, smash that like button if you're tired of woke Hollywood disasters. Subscribe for updates you won't find anywhere else. Share this with someone who still thinks The Simpsons are just a cartoon. Because this wasn't just an episode. It was a reckoning. And Rachel? She just got the full Springfield special. Stay tuned. The next parody is probably already being written.